How's everyone doing again? Hope you're all alright. As you might know, if you subscribe to me on here, my name's Cody Lachey. Follow me on Twitter at Cody Cody, capital A, Lachey Lachey. I keep doing videos now on like things I've got experience of, like life experience, first hand experience, everything from prisons to crime to drugs to homelessness to prison issues, prison reforms, policing levels, police brutality, austerity, poverty, everything really. Just give my opinions on these matters on here, and on the back of it, I get media contacting me and I do interviews on the matters. So anyway, I want to speak today about drugs and legal highs. And I say this as a former drug dealer, used to be involved with crack and heroin. Obviously, they're disgusting drugs and they ruin people's lives and kill people and stuff. But I'm being honest about it. And then obviously I got out of that game. And then, like, I used to work the doors in Manchester, well, all over, really. I worked in Manchester, but I worked all over. So then you come, like, you come face to face with people high on recreational drugs, party drugs, ecstasy, GBH, cocaine, and everything in between, really, magic, and all the usual drugs that legalise and drugs that people take. Now, the next time I had experience with drugs after that, I don't take drugs myself. I mean, like, when you have experiences of people with drugs, was actually in prison. As mad as that might sound, because obviously drugs shouldn't be in prisons, but they are. They're readily available in prison. There's that much drugs in prison that the actual overall price of drugs in prisons have come down. Now, let me explain, right? If there's what in the drug world you call a drought, where it means there's not much drugs available, you can charge a premium price, right? But when there's loads of drugs on the wing, right, or in society, or I'm talking about prison for this bit of the conversation. But if you're in prison and you're selling drugs to the lads on the wing, but then there's 5 other guys on the wing that are selling drugs and they've got drugs as well, you can't charge a premium because they'll undercut you and your customers go to them. And like I say, there's that much drugs in prison. There's more drugs legalised and mobile phones in prisons than there is prison officers right now. Sounds far-fetched, but trust me, it's a fact. I've seen it firsthand. But yeah, so like I say, drugs are readily available. I mean, in prisons, what happens is a lot of the lads, not everyone, but quite a few of the lads in prison are being seen for mental health illnesses, from everything from depression, anxiety, antipsychotic drugs they need, sleeping tablets, everything in between. So what happens then, these drugs that they're given, like the antipsychotic drugs, like they can mong you out and make you sleep. So if you take a lot of them, your body builds up a tolerance to them. So then what the lads do, they then sell their like prescription drugs to other lads on the wing, so that they can score like your legal eyes and stuff like that, and your other mainstream drugs. But the thing is, right, like legal highs on the street, I know they're illegal now and the banned and all that stuff. That doesn't mean nothing. That doesn't mean they're not available. It just means they go underground, right? So what happens then, because legal highs are cheaper, that like up to half price of what you'd like, example, like a bag of spice, 20 quid on the street, for a gram of coke, good quality coke, you're talking 40 quid a gram, right? So it's half the price. So that's why they're popular, because of the price, and it just gets these lads absolutely unhinged, because obviously if you smoke 3 different lots of spice, like synthetic cannabis as it's called, from 3 different like sources, you're going to get a different reaction every time, because the chemicals are mad what they do to people. I've seen it firsthand on the streets, I've seen it in prison. A guy that I used to do the doors with actually died of a drug overdose. So yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about. But like I say, like on the street and stuff like that, drugs are readily available now. when you think of drugs, right, you're probably thinking like you're homeless, like kids on the street that are like walking around, no teeth in their head, can't string a sentence together, scruffy, like begging for money. That's not the case at all. You have high class flying businessmen that are sniffing cocaine and stuff like that, and like the poshman's drug or whatever you want to call it. I've seen every different person from society used to come buy drugs from me and from people I used to know, and there's such a range in the people that buy the drugs. But drugs are readily available because one, obviously, they're easy to get hold of, whether it be they're imported because of the fact of there's no police or border forces, less and less of them, or there's less and less police on the street, so there's no visual deterrent. So the lads can be brazen and you can deal the drugs on the street and that, and it's big money, man. Like now, let me explain why drugs are so mainstream and why they are so what's the word? Profitable. Right now, if you, I'm going to go to the best. The only way I can describe it is what I know. So, say you buy a kilo of heroin, right? Like 90% pure, 100% pure, 95% pure, whatever, 80% pure, right? You've got to call it like, let's, to the people that don't know anything about drugs, right? Say that a kilo is a house brick, right? Now, what you do, you get your cutting agent, which these days they're using chemicals, poisons, all sorts of stuff. So what happens then is you take half of this cutting agent and mix it with half of the house brick. What happens then? You've got two house bricks. The purity of the heroin is less, but you've gone from one house brick to two. So depending on how much you're wheeling, if you're banging that out at 15, 20 grand a kilo, then you've just doubled your profits, like literally doubled it by just cutting it. You make double. Obviously, I'm not like telling people to go and sell drugs or anything. Trust me, I'm really not. I'm not stupid. But like, and then like ecstasy, for example, ecstasy tablets now, you used to pay, like, people were banging them out for like a fiver each back in the day. Now you can get three for a fiver. The 50p each, some of them now, 50p for a fucking, for a tablet, for an for a pill. It's crazy, innit? But it goes on. And then, like, another thing as well, which is mad, like, example, right? This Pokemon Go fucking stupid, like, thing that's going on at the moment with all these fucking weirdos, right? People, drug dealers now, people that are selling pills, right, are actually selling, like, you know, the little yellow Pokemon thing, Pikachu, whatever it's called. People actually doing, like, selling, like, pills as shaped and coloured yellow, like this little Pikachu thing. That's how mad we are. We're getting designer drugs, people. That's the way it's gone. Now, drugs is very profitable. It's import, export, supply and demand. It's like there's always going to be drug users about, and it's not necessarily like it's not necessarily through want or need. Some of them like I just hit a bottom low. Like I used to be homeless and stuff like that. I never turned to drugs or drink or anything, but like a lot of the lads that are on drugs, it's just they've hit rock bottom, and it just when they take drugs, it just removes them from society. It just takes them out of that depression that they're in, which is sad, to be honest, because when they come down off it, they feel worse than when they was on it. I mean, obviously you've got loads of different drugs out there. You've got like they give you psychosis, they perk you up, they give you the buzz. The cannabis stone, you get stoned and you chill out on it and you're more mellow and you're a lot slower. And then you got like GHB, for example, like G, I come across it a lot. I used to do the doors in a gay village in Manchester, and GHB or G, whatever you want to call it, it's technically, well, it's not technically, it is an alloy cleaner. But people use it. It comes in like a brown bottle. You can get it for about a 10 or 10, 20 quid, depends on who you're buying it from. 10, 15, 20 quid. And all it is, it looks like a brown thing, and it's got like a cerette at the top. So you pinch the cerette, it sucks some of the fluid up. You drop that into your drink, right, and drink it, right, while you're out, and that's it. You're saving a shitload of money. This is one reason why people take it. And that's it, you get wiped out. But I've had really bad experiences with customers collapsing on it, people being raped, people getting in really bad states because of it. It's an alloy cleaner, people, but people use it. I don't know whoever the first person was to try G. I don't know what he was doing. Bit fucking crazy, but they did it, and now people sell it. It's an alloy cleaner. Alloy cleaner for cleaning your car. Alloys, mad in it. Then you talk about ketamine. Ketamine being a horse tranquilizer, which you can tell if somebody's on it because, pardon me, you get what you call cat legs, which is like the best way to describe it is like your top half of your body can move, but your bottom part of your body is like it's set in cement or you've got concrete shoes on or something. It's a really unsettling drug to see. To be honest, I've seen people collapse on it. Like ecstasy and stuff, people's jaws swinging, foaming at the mouth. Honest to God, like I'm talking as a former drug dealer, someone that's witnessed it firsthand in society, from prison to the streets to being homeless myself to being in hostels full of like drug and alcohol dependent lads, to working on the doors and seeing recreational drugs which people take for a buzz. And obviously, like, drugs are nasty and they ruin people's lives and they ruin people's families' lives and everything. And yeah, it's not awareness, this, it's just, I'm just talking about the subject in general. I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts on it. I mean, obviously my moral compass used to be screwed because I'm sat here now saying that drugs end lives and kill people and like fuck people up and fuck their lives up and stuff, and I used to make money from it. So it's a bit of a weird like thing to say, but I've come full circle and now I do interviews on this sort of stuff. But yeah, like, drugs are just readily available, they're everywhere. Like, I think, like, I can't remember the exact statistic, but something like every couple of £20 notes have come into contact with cocaine and stuff like that, or some sort of drug. The simple fact is they're everywhere. And exactly, do you know what? Actually, while I'm on this subject, I need to refer to something. There's a 13-year-old boy from Timperley here in Manchester. I don't know the full story. I'm just going off what was said in the media. There's a 13-year-old boy that collapsed or something on a tram stop in Timperley in Manchester after taking, I believe it was MDMA or liquid ecstasy or ecstasy, something like that. And he's still in a critical condition now, in hospital now. What sort of a drug dealer, right, would sell drugs? It doesn't necessarily mean he sold drugs to the kid, because the kid could have been spiked, yeah, man. But who sells drugs to kids? The people that sell drugs to kids should be shot. It's my opinion, right? Because drugs, they're nasty and they're horrible, and you don't give them to kids, man. Do you know what I mean? Because what happens is crime evolves. Like, you start taking drugs, and then some people get, like, if you take heroin's one of the most addictive drugs on earth. Now, you take heroin, you get hooked, right? What happens then? You become addicted, and it's £20 for a bag, yeah. So what happens then? You end up going out, committing crime, right, to feed your habit. So then theft, car theft, house theft, stealing, shoplifting, everything goes through the roof, right, to feed this addiction. And it's a very, very vicious, dangerous cycle. And once it grabs your addiction, it's very hard to get away from. I know, like, when I was homeless and stuff, and I come across some of these like lads on drugs and stuff, like, some of them were decent people, like ex-army like myself, that were homeless, that had hit rock bottom. They got addicted to drugs, they lost their marriage, they lost their wife, they lost the house, the car, the job, and they'd end up homeless. And it's just a fact of life, innit? But yeah, drugs are readily available, they're cheap, and as soon as if you, like I say, as a drug dealer, if you buy it, you buy a big amount, right? It's like the more you buy, the cheaper it is, isn't it? If you buy a big bulk, right, you can get it for cheaper. Just like at a cash and carry, you get it cheap. So then what happens, like I say, you get your cutting agent, depending on what drug you're using, you get your cutting agent, you cut it. As soon as you've cut it, right, you've got double. So you doubled your profit straight away. So if I go now, right, and bought some off somebody and bought a kilo and cut it for, if say I bought a kilo for 20 grand, 15, 20 grand, right, depending on purity and all that, right, as soon as I cut it, what happens? I've got 40 grand. I've made 40 grand. So I've made the money back that I wanted, right? Plus another 20 bag just for cutting it. Just for cutting it. Simple as that. And then if I then sold them 2 keys to somebody else, right, I've made 40 grand for nothing. It's just dead easy. And it's a fact, and it goes on. As well, the thing is now as well, drug dealers are mixing the drugs with fucking rat poison, chemicals, anything they can get their fucking hands on. And the reason behind that is to maximise profits. They don't care what's in the drug. They're money motivated, so they want to get in like double, quadruple what they've made, right? And will cut it or bash it, as you call it in the industry, with anything, fucking anything, rat poison, slug poison, whatever, rat pellets, whatever. You cut it proper, and it's happening more and more where people are cutting stuff, right, with cutting drugs with fucking cutting agents that shouldn't be cutting agents because the poisons and chemicals to maximise profits. People's safety, money is becoming above people's safeties, and these drugs are dangerous to take anyway if you mix them pure, if it was pure. So imagine when you're mixing them with fucking rat poison and shit like that and chemicals, and it's crazy, man. But then you can sell them for cheaper. You can sell it cheaper, but then, or you just don't sell it cheaper. You just sell it at your normal price. And like I say, there's that much drugs on the street that the overall price of drugs from Cat A down to Cat C, right, to legal highs, which I know are banned anyway, you know, but they've brought the overall price down. It's just how it is. And legal highs being half the price of mainstream drugs, people wonder why there's an epidemic with legal highs. I mean, drugs in prisons. I've done Strangeways and I've done Forest Bank here in Salford, and I've done Strangeways here in Manchester, and the amount of drugs readily available is mental. It really, really is. Actually, in Forest Bank, they've actually got what they call Mamba wings. Mamba being a legal high. They actually have Mamba wings. I think it's B1, the wing, and it's known as the Mamba wing, and it's for people caught smoking Mamba, spice, things like that. Now, prison officers are trained to identify people that have taken drugs. Now, I'm not being funny, right? The prison staff shouldn't be trained in how to spot people that are under the influence of drugs, because drugs shouldn't be in the fucking prison in the first place. But with less prison officers, cleverer inmates who are more dangerous, violent, volatile and everything, adding to the mix legal highs and drugs and mobile phones to arrange to bring the drugs in, there's a big problem there, but I'm for the prisoners anyway. But yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Sorry that I've waffled on for so long. Please follow me on Twitter, or feel free to subscribe me or leave comments below. If you've got any subjects you'd like me to talk about, please drop me a message. Thank you very much.